let's talk about Judge Dredd.
I am the law!
Yeah, we'll get to that in one moment.
For those of you who aren't aware, Judge Dredd is the protagonist of a comic strip of the same name, first introduced in 1977 in the British comic anthology 2000 AD, and remains the magazine's longest-running strip to this day. While not nearly as popular as characters like Superman, Batman, or the X-Men, Judge Dredd has more than earned his place as a classic character of post-apocalyptic and dystopian science fiction, and is one of the most popular comic characters of all time.
Needless to say, Hollywood has made attempts to bring Judge Dredd to the big screen before, with debatable results.
A commercial disappointment and critical failure, the 1995 film Judge Dredd was despised by fans and critics alike for being a bad, hammy, cheesy sci-fi thriller, while others, myself included, loved it for being a bad, hammy, cheesy sci-fi thriller, and believe it to be one of the so bad it's good variety that only gets better with age.
You betray the law!
I never get tired of that.
Needless to say, though, Dredd fans were unsatisfied, and in the era of rampant remakes, Hollywood decided to take a second swing at it with Dredd 3D. Although I was cautious at first, given both the long string of bad remakes lately, and the approach of casting relative unknowns for what looked like a 3D cash grab, given the warm reception from critics overseas, including the original creator of Judge Dredd himself, I have to admit, my look at the film became much more optimistic.
At the very least, if somebody says, "The law!" I'm gonna go home happy. So, is Dredd 3D an adaptation worthy of the source material? Or shall I judge this remake dreadful?
Seriously? You're doing that again?
What? How could I not? The joke practically wrote itself!
Ugh!
Ready yourselves for Judgment Day, my dear viewers, as I play Judge, Jury, and Executioner for Dredd 3D. The film opens in the near post-apocalyptic future, when the world is divided between megacities and radioactive wasteland, and where crime and violence are rampant in both. To stem this tide of chaos, we have the Judges, men and women who enforce law and order by any means necessary, and the most famed and feared of their number is our hero, Judge Dredd. Recently assigned rookie Judge Cassandra Anderson as his partner, together they investigate a slum tower under the control of drug kingpin Mama, who quickly locks down the tower and tells her followers to kill them both. Under attack and under siege, the two must fight their way to the top, cutting their way through enemies from every direction, all in the name of the law!
No, they don't do that in this version. But you know what they do instead?
For starters, an original take on your standard issue tower siege plot, and it's taken the idea in directions not seen since Die Hard. This is due to the care taken with the design of the world and the character-driven story, the latter of which I will get to in a moment. A few overshots of Megacity 1 aside, most of the film takes place in the Peach Trees block, and the result adds both scale and detail to nearly every aspect of the film, as well as making it a much more faithful adaptation than the '95 version. Karl Urban knocks the ball out of the park as Dredd, providing us with a performance that perfectly captures both the depth and subtleties of the classic character. Though restricted by the character's stoicism and mask, Urban's performance manages to shine through, providing the audience with a deep and fascinating character because he is a man of few words and big actions, rather than in spite of it. Olivia Thirlby as rookie Judge Anderson shines for the exact opposite reason. Her emotions and inexperience complement Dredd's stoicism, and watching her baptism by fire over the course of the film is a delight. And as anyone who has seen Game of Thrones knows, Lena Headey is a master at playing deep villains that you love to watch yet still want to see brutally killed, and her performance as the slow-mo kingpin Mama is no exception.
Wait. Lena Headey? Slow-mo? Huh. That explains a lot. Speaking of which, I bet you're wondering how the action in Dredd 3D was.
Surprisingly, It's some of the best I've seen all year, largely because it's one of the few films where the action is rooted in tactics as much as it is brutality. The way the judges sweep a room or utilize the surrounding area is extremely refreshing from the more typical scream and shoot approach used by many action films these days. Yet still, the violence here is extremely brutal, very satisfying, and just revels in how far it can push the R rating.
On a similar note, the special effects, the visuals, the set design, all are fantastic, especially given the film's low budget.
The main setting of Peach Trees looks and feels like a massive slum, making the movie not only look real, but feel dystopian, especially compared to the crisp, clean CGI look far too many films have these days. The gunfights, ESP battles, and slow-mo scenes all look fantastic, and the 3D effect enhances it further. Plus, for once, the slow-motion effects are justified given the nature of the drug. The result is a movie where the action and world look both realistic and fantastic at the same time.
So what is my final verdict of Dredd 3D? At this point, do you even have to ask? Although the story is fairly standard issue for the genre, thanks in part to both a deep world and developed characters, it manages to stand head and shoulders over many of its competitors.
The characters are well acted and enjoyable, and they capture the nature of the source material perfectly. The same can be said for the action and special effects, as they are both very well handled. The action, if bombastic, is very realistic, and the world itself feels real, enormous, and undeniably dystopian. The end result is a very entertaining movie, and one that I would love to see a follow-up to.
In the end, this was an action movie well worth the price of admission, far more faithful to the source material, and one of the best remakes in recent memory. I wholeheartedly recommend it, and I sincerely hope that this is not the last time that moviegoers get a visit from Judge Dredd. Until next time, be sure to subscribe, like the video, and please check out the website. I am Korsgaard, and Dredd 3D easily passes judgment.
Respect the feds, he earned it with his blood. Fear the gun, your sentence may be death because I am the law. Give a fuck around the law. I am the law. I got the rich, I got the power. You're the colonel off the door. Because of Megan City, you betrayed the law! Law!